Hey, today is a special edition of the Go Christian podcast. Today I'm shooting it live and direct from the Garden of the Gods here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So today I want to talk about getting your strength from God. And I thought a perfect place would be to shoot this here at the Garden of the Gods.
It's time for the Go Christian podcast, where we equip women church leaders with practical tools to enhance their ministry and personal lives. Join us as we explore productivity, money management, and spiritual growth strategies. Get ready to ignite your passion and impact your community. Welcome to the Go Christian podcast with Reverend Dr. Xeturah Woodley.
Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. Xeturah Woodley. For those who don't know me, I'm the pastor, the proud pastor of Go Christian Center in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Well, today I'm traveling and thought I would stop at the Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and shoot a quick video for today's podcast. So some of you on YouTube may see scenes from, I'm going to include some scenes from the Garden of the Gods, which is just a beautiful place. It's a place that I grew up being able to come to when I lived in Colorado. And it's a very spiritual place for me because it always gave me an opportunity to engage both with nature and to do some praying whenever I needed to. It's a free and open park here in Colorado. So if you're ever visiting Colorado Springs, Colorado, I want to encourage you to stop by the Garden of the Gods. All right, so for today's scripture,
our scripture today comes from Psalm chapter 121, verses 1 and 2, and I'm reading from the King James Version. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills from which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth.
I will look to the hills from which comes my help. All of my help comes from the Lord. And I chose that scripture because growing up here in Colorado, one of the places that I always knew I could go whenever I was feeling a little down or discouraged, or when I just needed some energy and aliveness, I would come here to the Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Now, why? Well, the Garden of the Gods was a place that as a child, our parents used to bring us to. And you can hike here, you can sit and they have picnic tables, you can have picnics here. But it was a place in the middle of the city where I felt like we could go and really just be self-expressed and encouraged. And it was also fascinating to me that it was called the Garden of the Gods. Now I have my GoPro mic on. People will be coming and going, but I'm going to still keep talking to you. So if you hear noises in the background, it's just part of the nature of being outside doing this podcast instead of doing it in my studio, okay? So like cars are driving by right now, it'll be fine. Okay, so as a little girl, I was always fascinated by this notion that it was called Garden of the Gods. But for me, it was called the Garden of the God because I didn't really know any other gods other than the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God that I serve now, right? But it stuck with me that when I read that scripture, I remember being a teenager, I think, when we focused on, I'll look to the hills from which comes my help, and my help comes from God. I just remember, so whenever I need help, I need to go to the hills. And literally, we could go to the hills. We could go to the hills here in the Garden of the Gods. So now, as I'm aging, as I'm getting older, I still find it a really good opportunity for me to come to this place and worship God. So today, I want to talk about what it means for you to find strength and for you to find places where you can go and you can commune with God for a while. Now, for me, the Garden of the Gods has always been that place. I can come here, I can park, I can commune in my car, I can go and find a picnic table. The hikes aren't that deep to get to seating areas. I can sit. I can even just stop and pull up against one of these rails, right, and do some prayer while I'm here. That is such an important part of my journey as a minister. It's finding those times and those places where I could just stop and be with God for a little while. Now, the Garden of the Gods for me is one of those places because I can actually get outside. I'm a city girl, right? Like, so everything that I do is about being in the city. This is more natural, being in nature. And so, even taking some time to be in nature for a little while and commune more closely, I would say, with God when it's time to be in nature. So I think that's why I've chosen the Garden of Gods as one of those places for me. And every time I make my way back to Colorado, I am able to continue to commune with Him even in this place. So it becomes one of the places where I always make my way to. I always schedule my time and make my way to be here in the Garden of the Gods. So the first challenge I'll have for you this month, because every month I send you all out with challenges, is to find those places for yourself where you can commune with God, right? Find those places where it's important for you to stop and just resonate with it. So I'm going to give us a couple of minutes to do that right now. So those places don't have to be as public as this. It doesn't have to be a place that anyone else knows that's special to you. Just that place where you can go, you can have honest conversations with God that may be away from your usual places. You know, for a lot of us that are ministers, the church, our church office might be that place. Our bedrooms may be that place. A closet in our house or a closet at the church may be a place for that. For me, those are all places I can normally get to easily, but there's something about finding a retreat space. And that's kind of what this becomes for me. The Garden of the Gods becomes a retreat space for me, right? It becomes an opportunity just in the middle of the day to get away from technology, to get away from the phone, to get away from all of those things that would normally accommodate me, or the normal ways of being that I would have for the day. As a person, as a sister, as a minister, I kind of step away from that. And here I could just be. It's a place where I could just be. So, my challenge to you is find those places where you can go and have retreat, where you can just go and be. Because sometimes God can speak to us in ways that are so important and meaningful and moving when we just go and be. Like, I think this is actually a bumblebee that's flying around me right now. So, my final thoughts, because this is getting very active over here, so I'm going to need to stop recording. I want to say this: all of us have those places that we're used to and accustomed to being. But all of us as ministers should also have a place where we can go to retreat and regain our footing. And if we need help, to call out for help to God. And sometimes that means coming to a place that's beautiful, like here in the Garden of the Gods. Sometimes you don't have the luxury or leisure to drive somewhere. You have to call them right away. So, one, I want you to identify those places that are right around you where you can go and take some time and be isolated, where you can listen to and talk to God about what you actually need for help. And then I want you to find places where you can go and retreat away from other people, where you can just be with God. I found a couple of places that are in nature, like in the Garden of the Gods, which is actually a really good place for me to take some time to stop, to think, to breathe. As someone dealing with now living with oxygen, it's a nice place for me to go and get some breath. But it's up to you to really find those places that work for you and just have yourself be in them. Okay? So, listen, thanks so much for joining me here at the Garden of the Gods today. It really is a blessing for me to be here. And now I'm going to go and get some prayer time in while I'm here.
And that is it for today's podcast. Hey, listen, if you'd like to make a donation to the Go Christian Podcast and Go Christian Ministries, please feel free to make a donation on our website. Go to gochristiancenter.org/donate in order to make a donation. Now remember, we are a 501c3 organization in the U.S., so donations made by those of you here in the States, it's a tax-free donation. Now, if you have questions about the Go Christian Podcast or Go Christian Center of Albuquerque, feel free to send us an email, info@gochristiancenter.org. That is our email address. Again, it's info@gochristiancenter.org.
Thanks so much for watching. May God bless and keep you always, and have a terrific week.